Yep, this is a good talk. Yep.
That's it?
No. I was testing. We are back in Washington and Train, Raph and I are here to film some very cool stuff, and I'm doing a talk about what every leader needs to know. So if you're a leader, a manager of people, then this is one that you have to watch, but we're going to show you some beautiful sights of Washington while we're here because we can. Why not? Join us. Well, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I really appreciate it. I want to spend all of my time sharing value with you, so I'm only going to give you a very, very brief introduction of who I am. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a founder of two management consulting firms, What's Next and What's Next PX in Australia and also in New York. I also have an investor in some tech companies. I'm a people experience expert. I am an Australian. And I'm also a mum of 3 boys. So that sort of sums up who I am, really. Isn't that all you need to know? There it is. But today I'm going to share with you what I believe leaders really need to know. And this is knowledge that I have acquired from my personal experience. In other words, all of the mistakes that I have made. So I'm going to share you all the mistakes that I've made so that you don't have to make them. But also I've observed and worked with hundreds of managers and leaders and small business owners, and I see the same things, and so that's what I want to talk to you about today. When I started my career nearly 20 years ago, I thought, I want to be a manager. I looked at the people within my workplace who were all senior. They had the nice office, they had the nice car with the car park, they had the nice clothes, and they were all managers. So I was like, to me, that was what I wanted. I wanted people to be under me, reporting to me. And I wasn't so much into the power element, that really wasn't my driver, but I certainly saw a certain status that came with being a manager of others. They were, to me, the successful ones. So to me, the job of being a manager also didn't look to be very hard. Because basically you had to do whatever your bosses said because otherwise you would lose your job. Yeah, pretty easy job. Now, the workplace landscape is a little bit different today. At the time in my career, if I was the best recruiter or if I was the best HR strategist, then I would get the gift of having people to manage. And it didn't really matter whether I had any people skills or not. As long as I ticked the technician box, I was an excellent technician at whatever I did, then I would progress as a manager. Does anyone understand what I'm talking about here? Yep, so many technicians that are excellent at what they do, and as their gift, they get to manage people. How's that fair? Anyway, that's what I wanted, and that's exactly where I was headed. Despite my enthusiasm for success, I actually had no idea what that really meant, and I didn't understand what management would entail, and I certainly did not understand the responsibility that comes with managing people and how it actually becomes a full-time job that you have to do whilst you do your full-time job. I didn't realise that at the time, and I didn't understand that I would need to learn and develop in the skills of management and leadership in addition to my technical role. What I learned pretty early on in my management career was that I wasn't actually really any good at managing people. So it didn't come naturally to me, like these two gentlemen. It didn't come naturally to me. And I think in hindsight, it was probably because I wanted to be a manager more for my own ego as opposed to serving people. But you know, it took some maturity for me to understand that that was my drivers at the time, but it certainly wasn't as easy as I expected it to be. What I came to realise is that leadership has some pretty serious traps attached to it, and that whilst this space of leadership was quite comfortable to me as opposed to managing, which takes more effort, it certainly has meant a much bigger commitment to self-awareness for me personally anyway, and understanding that leadership is really about being able to manage yourself first and looking within. So This is something that I don't think we talk about enough in management training and leadership training. We don't talk about the fact that we need to focus on learning to lead ourselves first. Now, these insights are called insights for a reason, because we're going to be talking about looking in, not out. This is not about what we need others to do. This is about what we need to do, because the success of others firstly starts with us. Oh, doesn't that suck? Sorry, guys. Firstly, we are all leaders, regardless of your position title. Every single person is a leader because everybody influences someone. I think that's really important to think about out in our broader community. We can learn from everybody regardless of who they are, how much experience they have, how old they are, what they do, how they live. We can learn from everyone, but that's another topic. However, for you guys, you actually play a leadership role. So you are actually responsible when someone is expecting you to influence. So that's the people who report to you. That could be your broader colleagues, because you are actually an expert and a senior practitioner in what you do, as well as your customers or clients that are relying on you. You are a leader to all of those. So if we think about those people, let's call them your stakeholders, right? The stakeholders that you have. So every day you are influencing and leading your stakeholders through your behaviour, potentially without even realising it. Now, this is going to sound a little bit creepy, and it's even creepier with that big eye there. But a challenge that most leaders forget is that we are constantly being watched. So our staff have their eyes on us, but our staff are not just watching us, they're not just observing us, they're learning from us and they're mimicking us. So have you ever seen, like for those of you who have children, have you ever seen your children do something that makes you feel like you're watching yourself? Yeah, I remember so clearly that one of my children, when they were 4 at the time, they were standing in front of the refrigerator with the door open, looking through it as if it had the answers to all of life's questions. And then he said, "Oh, I'm so stressed." And I was like, that looks like me. Because I stand looking in the refrigerator for life's answers and talk about how stressed I am. There was a clear example of observation and mimicking. So the people around us who we influence watch everything we do. Our body language, the way we talk on the phone, the way we enter a room, what we say when we get off the phone, or how we roll our eyes when we get off the phone, the way we sit in a meeting, all of those things that we're doing every day. Our staff, our colleagues, and our clients are watching our leadership, and they are assessing us and they're learning from us. Disengaged staff with bad habits, they quite possibly learn them from you. So what we see in those that we influence is often a direct reflection of how we are being seen. So the next time someone's annoying you, maybe that's a mirror. So how do you want to be seen? How do you want to be described? What influence do you want to have on those who work alongside you? If you think about the fact that they are mirroring what you do, how do you want to be seen? What would you like people to say about you long after they've finished working with you? How would they describe you? So I have another question for you. I want you to put up your hand if you have ever done this. Have you, when anyone has ever asked how you are, have you ever said, "Oh, I'm really busy. I'm super stressed right now. It's really frantic"? Has anyone ever responded that way? Oh, we have a few honest people in the room. I think it's the most common answer. "Oh, how are you?" "Oh, so busy. Super busy right now." "How's work?" "Oh, stressful." You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't understand how stressful it is. Like, I'm pretty important and I'm busy. It's stressful. Yeah. Found that when reviewing the senior people in my business, and also with the clients that I've worked with over the years, that there are consistently 2 traps that we get caught in. These 2 traps are the "I am so busy" trap and the "let me do that" trap. And the interesting thing about these traps that we get caught in is that they're not set by somebody else. We set them ourselves. We set these traps and then we get caught in them. It's not very smart, is it? Sounds weird. Why would we set ourselves a trap and then get caught in it? We get caught in it because, quite simply, we're like helpless little mice who can't control temptation. Because ultimately, to be so busy and to be, I can do that, is actually a temptation because it gives us a reward. Now you're probably going, this Aussie is crazy. When can I leave this room? And I know that this can be uncomfortable, but I did say today was about looking in, because we think that if we weren't so busy, we wouldn't be important. Why would we want to be so busy? Why would we want to be the one that has to do everything? You're thinking, I don't want to be that. I don't want it to be that way. It just is. I can't help it. It's my job. It's my family. It's being done to me. But when we are so busy and we are the ones that do everything, we get this great reward because we feel important and we feel necessary and we feel powerful and smart and unique and we feel loved and maybe we feel feared and maybe we feel admired. We do get a payoff from running around being so busy and taking on so much and never saying no. Falling into this trap is something that we choose because it gives us a good feeling, it strokes our ego, and even though we pretend to ourselves that the busyness is being done to us, a lot of the time it's created by us. Leadership's about personal discipline. It takes discipline to be productive rather than busy. I watch my team so busy and not being productive, complaining about their hours when they could do it in half the time. If they had the discipline to plan, to delegate, imagine if we did that, to manage our emotions, to leave our bad stuff at the door in the morning, to not buy into drama in the workplace, to take responsibility. It takes discipline to be accountable, to lead, to not be defensive, to manage our stress. It takes discipline to ask for help. It takes discipline to be a positive influence around us. And that's why some of us are just not that good at it. Because it takes a lot of discipline to be a great leader. That leadership is not hard because of how much work goes into managing people. It's hard because of how much work goes into managing ourselves. When I look at my leadership journey, I think the biggest development in the whole journey has been the work that I've had to put into myself, understanding me, why I do the things I do, where my weaknesses are, looking in the mirror and admitting the things that aren't working for me and others, and working on that. That's been the hard work, not the difficult conversations, not giving feedback, not getting people to do what's expected of them. It's been the whole leadership of myself. For those of you who are perfectionists, I know this is going to be hard, but accept less than perfection, because often done is better than perfect. Near enough can sometimes be good enough. Not with everything, but certainly a number of things. Stop attending meetings you don't need to be in, and please I'd like to do a whole session on meetings, but please, every meeting you've got in your calendar in the next week, take 15 minutes off it. I promise you will get exactly the same amount done in that meeting. And I've just given you the most amazing gift. You're welcome. Please do that. Take a break, clean your desk, and you know what? Give the gift of learning. Help others. Let them learn themselves. Let them save themselves. You know, for those of you who have children, if we do it all for them, they never get an opportunity to learn themselves. By allowing someone to do it themselves creates independence, and you know what? It makes them feel good. Makes them feel good. Which leads me to the final insight I want to share with you today, and that is that leaders and professionals are afraid. We have a fear that is paralysing our growth and the growth of our team and our workplace. Does that sound pretty serious? It sounds serious, doesn't it? Well, I think it's very serious, because I think what I'm about to share with you is what sets apart the good leaders and the great ones. From my observation, this is the thing that sets them apart. I have spent years observing the behaviours of business owners, managers, up-and-coming talent, successful and not so successful. And I have noticed that ones I look up to and my mentors, who I have sought out because of their success, have a common trait. The thing I notice is that they are calm, They seem to be present when I'm with them, even though I know they have so much going on. They don't seem rushed. They're organised physically and mentally. And I believe it's because they don't have this particular fear. What is it? That we are afraid of white space. Look at all that white space there. Who's freaking out right now? Whew, that is a scary space. I had to put the heading on here. I couldn't just have a plain white one because it was like just too much. So what is the white space? This is the space that has no meetings in it. It has no on the tools work where you're actually having to deliver something. This is the space in your calendar that doesn't have anything allocated against it. The clear space on your task list that has no tasks on it. Do you know that space? Have you ever seen that space? No, I wouldn't dare go there. That's crazy. Why are we so scared of having white space? Because do you know what white space looks like? It looks like we have nothing to do. It looks like no one needs us. And if we have nothing to do and no one needs us, where is our value? But owning the space creates our true value as leaders. This is the most beautiful space that you could actually create in your life, because this is the space for us to think, for us to chat, build relationships, create, strategize, ideate, workshop. It's our space to learn. It's our space to grow, to remember, to care. It's our space to breathe. Oh, remember that? For breathing. This is a space where true masters of their craft spend their time. Space that leaders know is the priority. The space that they hold because they know it's important and they know what's not. We can't be the best if we don't make time for these things. We can get by, but we will never be the best. You'll never be the best. And you know what eventually happens? What eventually happens is that we get caught. We get caught out by our stakeholders that we aren't the true masters of our craft, that we're not the true leaders of ourselves and others. We don't have self-awareness. We don't know what to say no to and what things actually matter and what don't matter. We get caught. Creating white space is easy, but being committed to white space isn't. So you can all go back to your desk and you can put blocks of white space in your calendar, and I really hope you do. But whether you then commit to that space is up to your discipline and your ability to be the master of your craft as a leader. I have spent years working with my team and my clients to get them to commit to the white space. They mark it out, they have it in their calendar, it works, and then it gets overlooked because it's a constant discipline like everything else that we need to do. But I know the ones who do it. I can tell straight away. I can see it in their quality of life and their attitude to life. I can tell those ones. And they are the ones that I want to work with. They're the ones I want to work for. They're the ones I want to learn from. They are the true ones that inspire. So I ask you this one final question. What is your behaviour telling your key stakeholders, and is it the message that you want to send? Really good group of people talked about a topic that's I'm really passionate about, what leaders really need to know. Here in Washington, we're closing out on this vlog. I feel so privileged to be able to travel and do these talks and share my information with incredible people. So don't forget to subscribe because there's more and more and more of this coming. Thank you for following.